On a late March afternoon, as the pale golden sunlight stretched across a narrow street, a tiny white kitten with round, innocent eyes accidentally wandered away from its familiar alley corner. It didn't know how far it had gone. All it felt was its little legs growing weary and its stomach rumbling with hunger. Suddenly, a massive glass door swung open before it, revealing a completely unfamiliar world. A supermarket. The brilliant white light from high-hanging bulbs flooded down, making the kitten blink repeatedly. Soft music played from the speakers, blending with the hum of people pushing carts and picking out items. The kitten stood frozen, its small ears perked up, unsure of where it was, but then a faint scent wafted by. Fish, milk, irresistible to its senses. Driven by a cat's natural curiosity, it cautiously stepped through the automatic doors, embarking on an unexpected adventure. The vast supermarket felt like a labyrinth to the tiny creature. Towering shelves bursting with colors, carts rolling back and forth, and the giant shoes of humans left it both terrified and exhilarated. It tucked itself behind a stack of cardboard boxes, observing everything with sparkling eyes. For the first time in its life, it felt incredibly small, yet brimming with excitement to explore. While hiding behind a shelf, the kitten accidentally bumped into a nylon bag that had fallen from someone's cart. Inside was a tiny pair of blue overalls. Likely a doll's toy, but to the kitten, they fit oddly perfectly. Tilting its head, it pawed at the garment playfully, then slipped and tumbled right into it. After a few clumsy struggles, it stood up, the blue overalls hugging its round little body, the straps neatly draped over its shoulder. The kitten looked down at itself, surprised by its new appearance. The overalls made it look more like a tiny person than an ordinary cat. It took a few wobbly steps, then grew more confident when it realized no one in the bustling crowd noticed it. With this outfit, it felt like it could blend into the human world, at least in the innocent imagination of a kitten. The charm here lies in the adorable and humorous way the kitten transformed. The overalls aren't just a random item. They symbolize its longing to belong somewhere, to become part of the vast world it had just stepped into. With its new uniform, the kitten began its journey of discovery. It darted through narrow aisles, gazing up at the towering shelves. Everything was unfamiliar. Vibrant cereal boxes, shimmering candy bags, and then the familiar scent of tuna stopped it in front of a shelf stacked with canned food. Standing on its hind legs, the kitten stretched its tiny paws upward, trying to reach a shiny can of tuna. Its eyes gleamed as if the entire world now revolved around that one can. But the shelf was too high, and it was just a tiny kitten. It jumped, claws lightly scraping the shelf, only to tumble back to the floor. A soft meow escaped its lips, a mix of determination and helplessness that would make anyone smile. After several failed attempts, the kitten didn't give up. It dragged a small milk carton from a lower shelf to use as a step, climbed up, and finally touched the tuna can. Clutching it tightly, it rolled onto the floor in pure, innocent joy. The can clattered beside it as the kitten lay there, panting, as if it had just conquered a mountain. This was the first moment it felt a tiny spark of pride. As the kitten hugged its prize, a pair of tiny shoes stopped in front of it. Looking up, it met the gaze of a 5-year-old girl with pigtails and eyes as round as its own. Dressed in a pink dress and holding a doll, she squealed when she saw the kitten in its blue overalls. "Mommy, this living doll is so cute!" Her mother, busy picking items from a nearby shelf, glanced over and chuckled. "Don't play with someone else's things, sweetie." But the girl didn't believe the kitten was real. She bent down, gently touching its soft fur, and when it let out a meow, she giggled with delight. "It can talk? I want to keep it." The kitten flinched at first, but the girl's gentle touch calmed it. She picked up the tuna can, placed it in the little cart she was pulling, and said, "Come on, let's go shopping together." The kitten tilted its head, not fully understanding, but trotted after her, swept up in her innocence. The girl and the kitten became an odd pair in the supermarket. She pushed her tiny cart, now holding the tuna can, a bag of gummy candies, and eventually the kitten itself when she lifted it inside. The kitten looked around in delight, its small ears twitching each time she stopped to pick something new. At one point, she grabbed a box of cat milk and said, "This is for you. I know cats like milk." The kitten nodded as if it understood, though it was really just sniffing the scent curiously. Later, she held up a pack of cookies and asked, "Do you eat cookies?" It meowed once, making her laugh and tossed the pack into the cart. The most touching moment came when she paused at the toy aisle, eyeing a small fluffy ball. Turning to the kitten, she whispered, "I don't have enough money to buy this for you, but I promise I'll come back for it later, okay?" The kitten didn't understand her words, but her sparkling eyes conveyed something warm. But the joy didn't last. A supermarket employee in a dark blue uniform appeared at the end of the aisle. Seeing the kitten in the cart, he frowned. "Who let a pet in here?" His loud voice startled the girl, and the kitten's fur bristled as it leaped out of the cart. "Don't take my friend," the girl cried, grabbing the kitten's paw and pulling it into a run through the aisles. The chase began. dramatic yet utterly adorable. The kitten stumbled, knocking over a stack of soup cans with a clatter that drew everyone's attention. The girl ran and laughed while the kitten meowed nonstop as if cheering itself on. Her shout of, "Don't take my friend," still echoed when the employee, Mr. Tam, pulled the walkie-talkie from his shoulder and barked, "Get more people to the food section. There's a cat running loose." Within a minute, the sound of stomping shoes echoed from other aisles. 3 more employees appeared armed with brooms and nets, turning the small escape into a full-blown cat hunt. The kitten, its blue overalls flapping, darted through the shelf. Its tiny legs had never run so fast, but the approaching footsteps of humans sent it into a panic. The girl held its paw, pulling it past the toy aisle, but the growing crowd of shoppers took notice. "Where'd that cat come from?" someone yelled, while another laughed. "Look, it's wearing overalls." The kitten leaped onto a low shelf, toppling a stack of cereal boxes with a crash. "There it is, grab it!" Mr. Tam shouted. The kitten turned, its round eyes flashing with fear, but it kept running, leaving a colorful mess in its wake. Amid the chaos, the girl tripped while dodging a shopper's cart, her hand slipping from the kitten's paw. It stumbled forward, losing sight of her in the sea of people. "Meow, meow," it cried desperately, but the supermarket's noise drowned out its feeble voice. The kitten darted into a narrow aisle where the light dimmed, with only a few flickering bulbs overhead. It hid behind a large cardboard box, panting, its blue overalls now smudged with dust. The employee's footsteps echoed nearby, but now it was alone. It peered around, searching for the girl, its only friend in this strange world, but the familiar pink dress was nowhere in sight. This moment was an emotional twist. From joyful companions, the kitten and the girl were torn apart, thrusting the story into tension. The kitten wasn't just fleeing humans, it now faced sudden loneliness. Just as it thought it was safe, a new sound emerged, a low, growling bark. Turning, it saw a large, shaggy brown dog lumbering toward it from the end of the aisle. A customer's pet, it had slipped its leash while its owner shopped. The dog's eyes gleamed, its white teeth bared as it growled, and the kitten's fur puffed up, its body trembling. It sprang onto a shelf, but the dog lunged, knocking over bottles of soda that shattered on the floor. The piercing crash drew the whole store's attention. "A dog? Now? Two?" an employee yelled as shoppers scattered in panic. Driven by survival, the kitten climbed higher, claws gripping the metal edges, while the dog leaped and barked furiously below. This was the story's peak of drama. The tiny kitten who only wanted a can of tuna now faced an enemy 10 times its size. Its blue overalls fluttered as it leapt from shelf to shelf, a pitiful yet heroic sight. Across the store, the girl stood up, eyes red with worry. Hearing the barks and the kitten's faint meow, she raced toward the sound, ignoring her mother's calls of, "Huh, come back!" Her small feet pounded through the crowd, clutching her doll like a lucky charm. When she arrived, she saw the kitten cornered on the highest shelf, the dog snapping just inches away. Without thinking, she shouted, "Stop!" and rushed forward, pushing the dog back with all her might. Startled, the dog retreated a few steps, but kept growling. She scooped the kitten off the shelf, whispering, "Don't be scared. I'm here now." But the danger wasn't over. The employees surrounded them, and Mr. Tam raised his net, sternly saying, "Hand over the cat. Pets aren't allowed in the supermarket." The girl hugged it tighter, tears streaming down her face. "No, it's my friend." The kitten nestled into her, meowing weakly as if pleading for help. The situation spiraled out of control. The dog barked louder, shoppers crowded around, and more shelves toppled in the chaos. The store's intercom blared, "Everyone, please stay calm. We're handling the situation." But no one listened. The kitten and the girl stood at the center of the frenzy, like stars in a mad play. Just then, another employee, Ms. Lyon, a kind animal lover, stepped out from the crowd. She raised a hand to stop Mr. Tam, her voice gentle yet firm. "Enough. Look at how key line they are, the girl and the cat. Let me handle this." Kneeling before the girl, she smiled. "What's your name? This cat means a lot to you, doesn't it?" The girl nodded, sobbing. It doesn't have a home. I want to take care of it." The kitten looked up at Ms. Lan, its eyes glistening with a glimmer of hope. She turned to Mr. Tam. "I'll take responsibility. Let's not make this a big deal." As mother finally arrived, breathless from searching the store, seeing her daughter clutching the kitten, Ms. Lan shielding them, and the supermarket calming down, she couldn't say no. "Fine, take it home, but you have to promise to care for it well," she said, her tone both stern and tender. Miss Lan smiled, retrieving the forgotten tuna can from the abandoned cart and handing it to Ha. "A little welcome gift for your new friend." Ha cheered, hugging the kitten tighter, and it meowed happily as if thanking everyone. The crowd applauded, turning the chaos into an unforgettable warm moment. As the supermarket lights softened and the noise faded, Ha still held the kitten close, her eyes shining with joy. Her mother, though initially flustered, now smiled at her daughter and their new family member. Ms. Lan waved goodbye as they walked out through the automatic doors where it all began. The tuna can, the kitten's first prize, sat snugly in their shopping bag. a reminder of this magical adventure. On the way home, Ha placed the kitten in the little toy car she used for her dolls. It sat proudly, its slightly rumpled blue overalls still irresistibly cute. The cool evening breeze ruffled its fur and its soft meows rang out like a little song. Ha whispered, "From now on, you'll have a home, me, and lots of tuna, okay?" The kitten tilted its head, its round eyes gazing at her as if it understood every promise. The next day, the kitten officially joined Ha's family. She named it Yempa, a simple name that held their unforgettable story. The blue overalls were washed and hung in a corner of the room as a keepsake, and whenever Ha saw them, she'd recount to Yem the day they met, the day it became a tiny person in the supermarket. Yem would curl up by the window, listening, its small ears twitching as if nodding along. Yem's life was no longer one of hunger and wandering. Now it had a bowl full of food, a fluffy ball Ha bought with her savings, and most importantly, the love of a girl who saw it as her best friend. From a lost kitten, Yem had found not just a home, but a greater meaning. Sometimes the most unexpected adventures lead us to where we truly belong. The tale of Yem the kitten and Ha the girl ends here, but their journey will forever be a beautiful piece in my heart, and I hope in yours too. I sincerely thank you for listening, for joining this little kitten in its blue overalls. Through moments of innocence, humor, drama, and emotion, your imagination and love have brought this story to life more vividly than ever. May you always find joy in simple tales, and I hope one day to share another journey with you. Thank you, and until we meet again,